The cover is another advanced project. It's near the end of the PDF download. And in reality, what we did with this one is we actually have you approach it from a little bit different situation and want to make it into a casting. This is the machine drawing that's given to you. But if you want to approach it differently, you can take a look and see if you can envision it being a casting first and then adding the machining elements. Here is the machined part, but I can also open up the casting. Go in session here. And the casting, obviously, you can see has more material. And we remove the material for the final project. Let me go over to my other cover part. So basically what happens here is that we actually add some cuts at the end. So we build the part one way and then we add material. It looks like this particular one is not the one I was thinking of, though. This is cover cast 4 here. But so you can approach it this way if you want. Add material to wherever there's going to be a machine surface and then cut it off. If you're going to do it just straight out, it'll make it a little bit different because, for instance, let's go over to our model player and take a look at how they approached it. So here you can see the material, it wasn't added. So this is the thickness of the final part with the machining done. So it's up to you which way you want to do it, but if you want to approach it a little bit differently, try to make a casting out of it and then cut it. That would be similar to lesson 7. So first extrusion here, a little bit complicated. Get a lot of things done with one feature. Next we have just a simple revolved extrusion, and then we have another extrusion, there's a hole, and then there's a cut in the middle, and then another cut. This one's fairly complex. Don't know if this is the best way to do it. It seems a little odd, but it's one approach. Try to do a lot in one feature here. Maybe a bit too much. Here's a hole. You can use a construction circle, and then they pattern the hole. Or in this case, I'm not sure how much of a pattern that is. We'll have to see. And at the very end, there's a lot of rounds and cosmetic features. Let's go and make sure our tree filters are on, in case there's something that's suppressed. And let's turn this back on and see what happens. I'm not sure why it's like that. Some features failed, it said. Here's our cosmetic feature, which is the hole. If you turn off your shaded image, go to hidden line, you can see the cosmetic feature a little bit better. Always shows up in a different color. And let's go to no hidden line. You can see it's in magenta, the So the cosmetic feature represents the threads. So this will be similar to lesson 6, the swivel. But here you're actually building an internal cosmetic thread, not an external one. So we have one failure on here. I'm not sure why it's there, to be honest. Now, what we can do is we can close this, and we can take everything out of session and see if we can bring back up the cover part and whether or not that will have a now you can see here, so it didn't fail it. So maybe during the model player something happened and it didn't regenerate that one round. Alright, so let's see if we can roll the model back. Take a look at the first protrusion. Again, this is a fairly complex section. You could have done, they could have eliminated some of this. They have 6-2, 6-2, 5, 7-5, 7-5. Could have used equals and made these equal. Try that a few places. With the rounds. Let's see what else we could eliminate here. How about these two? And let's see, we also have this one and this one. And you might, I don't know if you really want to make these equal and these equal, but you could do that also. So, made a few more things equal on this one. I'm going to come out of here. I'm going to make sure I save this model at this time. Now, the next one is the protrusion here. It's a revolved. And this is an open section. They used a reference on the top, and they simply passed it through. Now, in general, it says that you're supposed to use a closed section. An open section is acceptable, but a closed section would be better according to PTC's design methodology. So it's up to you which one you want to do. You're adding material here, using the vertical and the horizontal here as references. Fairly simple. Next feature, you're extruding symmetrical about the center. Again, this one is relatively simple. Break down the features into simple elements. You can see the section here. Again, this is a open section. You can close it. Now the difference is it gives you a shaded image. And I'll go back to my shading. Added an axis here down the middle, A2. And they put a hole through it. That's relatively simple. It's interesting though. I don't know if this would be a good way to do it. They should have put the hole on the datum plane here and projected through all on both sides. This is okay, but I wouldn't say it's the best methodology. Next we have a cut. And the cut's inside here. again, we have the same open section. I'm going to leave that one. Have a cut. This is the big cut here. Again, I don't think this is necessarily a good way to do it. Open section. I think at the very least that you could have confined this to some sort of find out the distance, I don't know, control it somehow. It seems kind of odd to have it just sticking out in space like this as a cut. It obviously works, and you do want it to encompass everything, so you've got to bring it out far enough to get the corners here when you're removing the material. But it just seems like an odd choice. So you can see it here. It comes way out. You can see what they did in an open section. They added the round in here too. That's, I don't know, it's okay. They put everything in, but it's quite a bit of stuff to have in there, truthfully. I think I would have done a little bit different. Add the round afterwards. Controlled this cut here a little bit differently. Something. Could have cut from the bottom of the part up instead. In other words, come out with a, this could have been a revolved cut in here, but this portion could have been just a cut coming down from the top portion down. Yeah, again, it just seems like an odd way to approach the design of it. I'll take a look at it again. So that last piece, instead of doing this, you could have stopped it here and then the last portion made another cut, eliminating this sketch, kind of a hanging sketch out here. So think about it when you're doing it. You don't have to do it exactly like we're showing. Okay, next we have a pattern. We put in another axis back here. And then they inserted a hole. And then it looks like they mirrored the pattern, the hole again. Kind of an odd thing to do here. See if you can find a better way to do it. Could probably have mirrored all of these, pattern these, or pattern these here, and take one out of the pattern that would have been up in this area, and then add a couple more, add one, and then mirror it. It's got to be a better way. Now the next is a lot of rounds, so it's just a little bit of work. Rounds aren't too difficult for this project. And we have a couple cosmetics and some more rounds. Lumping these rounds together into sets would be better. Let's look at one of the cosmetic. And there's your threaded surface that's selected. And we have our depth starting. So they started there. So this one goes from this surface starting from here, going to here, I should say. That's interesting. It's an okay way to do it. And again, if we go into no hidden, zoom up, you can see that magenta thread there. So it's actually a fun project, not real complicated. And again, it would be nice if instead of approaching it in this manner, you modeled the actual casting first. Let's see the casting here. Actually, this is just casting. Cov cast. These are some of the dimensions. Added material for the machined portion. When you think about this, the casting is really nothing more than removing all these cuts and things. Yeah, those cuts need to be there. So you can go back and you can actually suppress. Oh, no, maybe not. No, you can't. So the way they approach the modeling of it, you actually can't make a casting out of it, that particular model. You'd have to think about it as you went, because you're just adding material, then you're adding rounds everywhere. You could actually round all the part. You can put it in all there all at once. Auto round, use this. And then put this cut in here at the very end, but not included in the stuff that you're taking. This is all casting. Everything in here is casting. Everything outside here is machined, plus the holes, plus the hole going through here. So if you don't do this weird cut that they did at the end, you could make it into a casting easier. That's the end of the cover.